Hello again. In this video, we are going to learn very important topic of grammar, that is forms of main verb. In English speaking or writing, the various forms of main verb have a very important role to play. They help us in various ways, but the very important function they play in English grammar is in forming various tenses. In different tenses, we use different forms of verbs. How many forms of verbs we have in English and how they are formed, this is the particular thing we are going to learn in this video. So let's dive into the world of grammar. The forms of the verb is that the main verb. In our previous videos, we have already clarified the difference between the main verb and the auxiliary verb. So when we say forms of the verbs, actually we are talking about the main verb. So the main verb changes its forms through conjugation. Conjugation is that it must match with the subject. And we already know that in English we have different subjects like first person, second person, third person, noun, singular, plural. So we conjugate the main verb with these subjects and we match, in simple words we can say, we match the main verb with the subject. So through the conjugation, to make tenses and to give specific information or specific expression. Besides making tenses, they also help us in making various expressions or information, and we will be discussing all of these things one by one. Basically, in English grammar, the main verb has the following forms, these 5 forms. The first form or the first kind of the form is base form. It is also called first form, and some grammarians also call it imperative form when it is used in that particular way. So what is the first form or base form? This is actually the original form of the main verb. In grammar, we also call it stem. Means stem is the expression or the grammatical entity that from it the other words or other forms or other expressions are made. So actually it is the stem or the base or the original form of the verb, like go. Then we have write and put. These are base forms, or we can also call them first form. In how many different ways the first form or these all forms are used, we will also discuss in a separate video. For now, we simply have to learn that how many different forms of the verb we have. Then the other form is past form, or in simple words we can also say second form of the verb. So when I change the base form go into the past form, it is went. Its second form, right, second form is wrote, and the second form of put is put. Why it happens so, we are going to discuss here. The third form, or we also call it past participle. It is the form of the verb that, for example, we say go, its third form is gone. Write, its third form is written. Put, its third form is also put. As I already mentioned, we will discuss it later. Then we have present participle, or we can also call it ing form. Like if we change go into the present participle, it will be going. write into writing, and put into putting. Then we have the fifth form of the verb, that is third person singular. In our pronoun, we learned that the personal pronoun is divided into three kinds: first person, second person, and third person. And nouns are always third persons. So if you want to know more about them, please watch that video. So the verb forms which are used with the third person, that is, for example, go, and I have to change it into goes. We add s or es to the main verb, like write, writes, and put, puts. So the main verb has these five forms, and these five forms are used in various ways to form different expressions and tenses. Let me bring your attention to this particular point, that some grammarians say that infinitive is also the form of the verb, but greater number of grammarians are on the side that it is not an extra form, but actually it is the use of the first form of the verb or the best form of the verb. How it is used, as I already mentioned, we'll discuss about it. For now, let us learn how the different forms of verbs are made. Verbs forms are made in a regular and irregular way. So when the question of formation of the verb forms is concerned, and let me clarify here that it all happens when we are making the second and third form of the verb. The two other forms of the verb are always made, or all the verbs make their last two forms in the same way I'm going to discuss. But the first two forms, means leaving out the best form, the second and third form of the verbs are made in two different ways, in a regular way or irregular way. We also call them weak and strong verbs. So what is difference between them? Let's discuss. Weak verbs, also called regular verbs, are the verbs which follow certain rules to make their second and third form. And what is that rule? That they add suffix. What is suffix? What is prefix? What is affix? If you want to know more about that thing, please watch that video on it. I have already made. So the weak verbs form or make their second and third form with the addition of the suffix d or ed. As open, if I make its second form, I will only add ed, that is opened. Third form is also opened. Close, if I make its second form, it is closed, and its third form is also closed. So the verbs, precisely the verbs that make their second and third form with the addition of d or ed and follow certain rules, we call them regular verbs or weak verbs. On the contrary, we have also another group of verbs. They are called strong verbs and irregular verbs. From the word irregular, it is understandable that they make their forms irregularly, means they do not follow any particular rule. We have to learn them by heart if we want to keep ourselves free from making mistakes as far as the forms of verbs are concerned. So you will have to learn them by heart. So strong verbs or irregular verbs make their second and third form without any rule. There is no rule in English. And at the end of every best dictionary, almost all the strong verbs or the list of all the strong verbs is given. For now, let us see the examples. I'll learn the examples of strong verbs. For example, speak. Second form is spoke, and third form is spoken. No rule. Why it is formed in that way? There's no rule for that. So I can't say speak, speaked, speaked. That will be wrong. Second is cut. Its second form is also cut, and third form is cut. You will not be able to understand whether the verb cut is first form, second form, or third form unless it is used in a sentence, or you can discern it, or you can understand that from the context. But if I all alone write here cut and ask from you what is the form of verb, you can't say. You can say probably it is first form, second form, or third form. Unless you use it in the sentence, things cannot be clear. Then we have another verb, that is go. Its second form is went, and its third form is gone. And again I tell you, there is no rule to form the strong verbs. Now, as I earlier mentioned, that if I'm making the ing form of the verb cut, simply I will add ing at the end of it. That will be suffix. I will end. I say cut, cutting. Speak, speaking. Go, going. Only add open, opening. Close, closing. So the present participle and infinitive forms of weak or strong verbs are made in the same way. There is no problem with them. The problem is with the second and third form. If I say open, ing form is opening, and I make it into full infinitive, that is to open. Close, closing, to close. Same is the case here. To go, infinitive, going, it's is ing form of the verb or present participle. So this is introduction to the various forms of the verbs in English, how they are used in different ways. Besides being used in tenses, they have also special uses. So we will discuss about the uses of all these forms in our upcoming videos. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, please do like and subscribe. If you have any question regarding this, you can ask me. Until my next video, bye bye.